Welcome back, everyone. Today is going to be an incredibly special episode because this is actually going to be the very last episode of my Minecraft Let's Play series in 2024. Nah, don't you guys worry. I've got so many amazing plans left for this world, and actually, all of the amazing stuff that we've done up to this point, this really isn't even the beginning of what I have planned. But we've honestly got so much to do in this episode, so I think we better get started. And actually, in between episodes, I already kind of got started. Back when I was living out at the library, this area along the river opposite my storage room was never really in view. But ever since we moved across the river, I've had to constantly look at this ugly natural generation, and I just finally decided to do something about it. The farther this world has come along, the more I like the idea of having a contrast between the main, more industrialized city on one side and the farming and more natural area on the other. And since the river is the separation point, I want to make it as distinct as I can. For the texturing, I'm using the same mix of tough, acacia wood, and deep slate to make the grayish black rock that makes up most of this area, but I also threw in some mud and muddy mangrove roots along with coral to create some slight shading. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how it went, but there's still a lot of work that we need to do to make this area really come to life. And I think I'll start on this little riverside area. I'll just swap all this out for grass, make a simple little path going along here, bone meal in a little bit of grass, and just like that, we've got a cute little fishing area. I'm just imagining the grizzled old groundskeeper that works at the library walking down here in the mornings and just sitting down on his old chair and, well, fishing. I even added a little campfire here, so when he's done fishing, he can, just put the fish down on the campfire. I mean, it's nothing too crazy, but, well, that's kind of the point. But of course, the other thing that every good fishing spot needs is a little bit of shade. I mean, come on, nobody wants to sit in the sun all day. Better put this out for safety. What a lovely morning to sit here fishing and shirking my responsibility. Fine, I'm going. Now this pavilion right here is actually a bit of a sneak peek into another video I'm working on right now, so I won't say too much about it, but oh wow, do I love this. Please ignore the lack of terraforming right up in this area, but oh, it just looks amazing. And from down below, oh, I just love how this area is looking. Now, one concern you might have, and that I actually kind of share, is that the roof of the library and this little pavilion is just so similar that they blend together. But I don't think it's going to be all that big of a deal just because this whole area is going to get completely terraformed. I'm going to have trees growing up behind here. I don't know exactly how it's all going to look, but it's going to look a lot different. And I suspect there's going to be like trees and leaves and stuff in between these two roofs. So I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. But yeah, I really like this pavilion. So look forward to that video. And do you like the cobweb I put here? I actually based this pavilion off of one that's kind of close to the library where I go pretty frequently. And there's always a gigantic spider web in one corner of it. So that's a bit of a, I don't know, Easter egg that only I would get. I don't know, but it looks cool. But while we could do quite a bit more work here, I think we're going to call it good because I've got so many more projects that I want to get to today. So let's go do that. Now, this next project has also been a really long time coming, but I want to actually finally get this little plot done in here. It's just been a giant patch of grass for who even knows how many episodes now. And I think it's about time that we finally got it looking pretty. And again, it's nothing huge, but I feel like I say this all the time, but I really do mean it. Just the little tiny details in this game are what really makes me love it so much. Like adding this little bit of broken wall where you can see into the farm, the multi-layered setup with the little bit of slabs in between. Oh, and actually, I think I need to replace this or it's gonna kind of bug me. Yeah, I think that looks better. And yeah, this cobblestone wall that I've been using over here as well, I just absolutely love it. And getting this little chunk in here is really making the rest of the build come to life. I feel like maybe some of these paths I need to add some indentations in them somewhere. You know, I'll need to do something about this wall eventually. You know, there's quite a few little details that I still need to put in here, but I mean, those can come anytime. I'm just so happy with how it's looking right now. I mean, it's just a little tiny thing. It's just a melon and pumpkin farm that I'm never actually gonna use. It's purely for aesthetics, but oh, this is my favorite part of the game. I'm gonna leave before I keep talking about this more. The next project that I have is actually back here in the storage system, and I debated putting it back here because, I mean, it just looks so cool and I love coming back here every time that I can. But at the end of the day, it makes a lot more sense to have our shulker box dispenser here at the front because, well, this is where I'm gonna be most of the time. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna be making. I just wanna make a little area where I can press a button and a shulker box comes out, or maybe press another button and a couple shulker boxes will come out. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into a creative testing world and kind of see what I can come up with. It probably isn't going to be very efficient, and I'm sure there's going to be a million better ways to do it. But well, you guys should know that I love making my own janky redstone by now. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll bring you back in a second. Guys, I did it. I'm a genius, and you don't even know it yet. All right, I'm just going to show you what they do right now, and then I'll, you know, peel back the curtain and you can see the redstone. But we've got a button right here. This will dispense 1. Perfectly. That was a little bit of a weird visual thing, but all right. And then 5. We've got 5. You know, one of them stuck up here, but that's not a big deal. It still works. And now this one should dispense 10. Perfect. Exactly as calculated. All right, now with that out of the way, I know you guys are wondering, what sort of magic did you work back there? And I gotta say, I'm way more proud of this than I probably should be. All right, first things first, the really easy one. The only way that I could really think of to get a constant signal going through is 2 observers facing each other. So I just put 2 observers here, and one of them needs to be raised by a piston. And so if I just use 1 stone button, there you go, that's our 5. So something interesting that I learned here is that actually stone and wooden buttons have a different timing. I had no idea before, but you'll see if I click this one, you can see it dispensed 7, I think. So, I mean, that has nothing to do with my machine, but it's kind of interesting. But anyway, it dispenses 5, which is perfect. However, something that you might not recognize is that this block right here, this wool block, right there, this wool block is absolutely essential. Let me show you how it works. If I remove that block, it only dispenses 4. It's crazy. I think it has something to do with this block getting powered as the observer goes back down. In fact, I'm almost positive that's why it works. But it's just wild to me that it worked out that way and that I just randomly came across that. So, you know, I decided that 5 is a more even, or I guess not even, but you guys know what I mean. 5 feels better than 4. So just one simple bit of redstone connecting to power this block is all that it takes to get 5. Now, to get more than 5, I decided to go with 10 because, you know, it's just double. And I kind of just did, you know, some janky. We hit this button, it connects right here and powers it, and then it goes around and powers it again. So essentially, we're just doing the exact same thing we did right there, except we're doing it twice. We've got this line going in there, and then this line takes a lot longer to go around. So by the time this line comes around, this is done dispensing, and it can start dispensing again. And it works perfectly. Just like that. And now you may be asking, if you just want 1, isn't that just as simple as putting a button down and then putting a redstone line going straight up to the dispenser? And if you ask that question, you're exactly right. The problem is I really overthought things, and I spent a lot of time working with observers and trying to figure out how to get it to work. And you see, one of the funny things with observers is that they recognize the pulls on of the button, but they also recognize the pulls off. So you'll see if I click this, we got 2 clicks up here. So this observer here is recognizing going on and then going off as well. And I needed a way to counteract that issue. Again, we're pretending that the whole just stick a redstone line back here doesn't work, because yes, I know it works, but I didn't realize that at the time. Anyway, I needed a workaround for the observers, and I thought, oh, well, you know what? If you click a button, then that'll turn on a redstone lamp, but it won't turn off. So I thought, oh, you know, I can just do that. Well, there's a problem with that as well, because you'll see that if I stick an observer down like this, it still pops twice, because I don't know exactly how it works, but if you look at that little red dot in the middle, you'll see red dot, and then the red dot disappears. I think that triggers the observer whenever that red dot appears and disappears. So that didn't work either. The solution, of course, was to put a comparator behind there and put the observer on the comparator and then just hook up a little bit of dust, which if I do that, I can click this and the comparator will only change state one time, and the observer will pick that up and send it up, and I can click this as many times as I want and just keep getting one. Did I absolutely need to tell you all of that? No, the reality is that just a single bit of redstone works perfectly. Sometimes I really question my use of time. But it doesn't matter. I'm still really proud of this little machine we got here. So despite the fact that I could just do a redstone line and it would work perfectly, I'm still going to be putting this in my world. So sue me. But before I install the actual machine in my real world, I thought I'd issue another redstone challenge. You see, there's a ton of different ways that I figured out that you can do this, and I'm sure I'm barely even scratching the surface. So if you guys want to, see if you can come up with a machine kind of like this one. Maybe we'll just say you have to do 3 different inputs and it has to each give you a different number of shulker boxes. But let me see all the creative, wacky ways and, you know, super hyper efficient ways that you guys can come up with to make this work. I'm sure there's ways that you can do it without these 2 observers, or, you know, who knows what you guys can come up with. I was absolutely blown away the last time. So yeah, send me your suggestions and I will feature the best ones in my next episode. And just like that, we have one fully functional, if slightly over-engineered shulker dispenser, and I love it. It's not complicated by any means, and in fact, it's actually more complicated than it needs to be. But man, I just absolutely love designing these machines, even if they're not perfect. You know, at the very least, we'll come back and look at this years from now and we'll be able to see where we came from. And this is just so satisfying. It is in some dire need of decoration, but well, that's a problem for future me. But with that out of the way, I'd like to take a really short break and head over to the bone meal farm for a second. We've still got plenty that I want to finish in this episode, but real fast, and this is kind of a secret, but for the first episode of 2025, I have some incredibly massive plans. And I'm going to need to do a little bit of resource gathering. But don't worry, it's not going to be too difficult. I just need to switch this from giving me bone blocks to getting me moss blocks. Because, yeah, I'm going to need 33 shulker boxes of moss. So, yeah, I think it's worth swapping things out. And that was super easy. All I did is I just commandeered this hopper right here with an item filter that filters out moss blocks. So all the moss is prioritized going straight down into this item filter, while everything else just goes straight over to this other chest and is composted as normal. So yeah, just a really simple temporary replacement. But back to our list of projects, I think for this next one, I just want to finish this wall going all the way around back behind. This is, again, related to that project that we have in next episode. But I really think one thing this whole build could really use is something back behind here. I just don't really know how I feel about the blue right behind the roofs. You know, I think having a wall there to kind of break it up there in the middle will be good, but we can do a lot better, and we will in next episode. But for now, getting the wall in place is going to be a big first step. I was just about to grab a shulker box for all the materials that we're going to need for the wall, and then I realized that I can just go boom. I love this machine. And like I always say, it's a small detail, but I think it really helps. We're going to go through and fix it even more in next episode because I really want to have something behind this and it's going to be big. But for now, I think it's fine. And you know what else is a tiny change that I'll bet you didn't notice? I went through and textured the roof here. It's honestly so hard to tell from below, but when you look at it from above, it looks a lot different. With these roofs, I want them to look really nice and well maintained, but just having the straight deep slate tiles, it's just not quite doing it for me. So I'm going to have to go back and do this one, and I'm going to do this one as well, but not today. because I've actually been doing something else that you don't know about. Over the course of the past week and the time that I would normally spend working on this video, you see that shadow over there? Yeah, I've been doing a lot of work and it's not on this video. I'm not going to tell you what's in all of these yet. Well, I will tell you what these are, because this is all moss. Like, every single one of these is completely stuffed full of moss. All stuff that we're going to need for next episode, because I already told you about that one. But all the other ones, they're all random other materials that I'm going to need. And this is probably like 80% to 90% of the materials that I'm going to need for this next project. So yeah, it's going to be huge. And that also means that I'm pretty much out of time for this episode, but I want to do one more thing. It's now been 2 episodes since I finished the amethyst farm, and the lever to start everything is still down here. So I think I'm just going to bring it all the way up there. And while I know I could just set it up on a timer to do everything automatically, I don't know, just the fact that it's made out of slime machines and they could break randomly in a way that I don't want them to is just I don't know, I'd just rather put it on a lever. Or I guess a button, because it's finally the moment of truth. I don't know why I said it that dramatically, it's actually not that big of a deal, but this should... There we go. Everything seems to be working properly. And now the machine will return, but we've actually got to do one more thing. And for the minecart that goes underneath and picks everything up, I just set up a really simple circuit. And if we come up here, you'll see this is the line that comes down from the button I placed up above. So it comes down all the way down below, and then right as it comes to here, it branches off onto this long chain of repeaters that could probably be condensed into something a lot more simple, but I just can't be bothered right now. And eventually the circuit will come all the way down. It'll open the gate, which will allow a minecart to go straight down and go back and forth, pick everything up, and then it'll come along to the other side. And then I'm thinking I'll just add an additional minecart track coming up above, and then we can come all the way across, and then the minecart will just drop down back into place, and it'll be a perfect closed circuit. And I think this should work. So if I just disconnect this for a brief second and I make a little pulse right here. So it comes down the circuit all the way down and back. It's going to release the minecart, and now we wait a really long time until, and there it comes. It's going to go all the way around, and then hopefully, yep, it'll just pop right back into place down below here, and patiently await the next time that this line finally gives it a signal. So yeah, it's not pretty, but it gets the job done. And I also feel comfortable calling this entire episode a success. I mean, this just looks amazing, even though I didn't actually get to all these top rocks. Okay, fine, I'll do it real fast. Alright, yeah, I'm glad I did it. Just this whole section looks so much better than it used to, especially when you think about all that natural terrain. Oh, this place is amazing. And what I really like about it is all of this looks amazing from far away, but it also looks pretty good from up close. I love how you can just be walking straight down this road and you turn and you see this awesome pavilion. You've got the little bits of trees poking out from the side. And while you can't actually see any of the cliff faces themselves, if you walk down, you can start to see them and they just look so good. And then of course we also got that little tiny melon and pumpkin farm done, which I think is really, really awesome. You know, all the projects that we did today were really quite small, but they still do so much to add just a little bit more life to the village. I don't know. I feel like I've said pretty much everything that I need to say about it, so I'm just rambling at this point, but with that, I think I'm gonna have to call it for this episode. We didn't do any massive projects today, but we got some really awesome work done here, and I'm feeling super proud of it. Sometimes I feel like I just need one of these slower episodes to get all of these little tiny details that I would not normally be able to get to. And man, I just feel like we absolutely nailed it. Once again, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with for the shulker dispenser machine. I still feel so proud of this little thing. Like, I mean, it's not much, but it's what I came up with and I'm really happy with it, but I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. But like I said, I've got a huge project coming up and I'm gonna have to work crazy hard if I want to finish it, so that's gonna be the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next year. Bye.